Well,
or that was the foxhole one.
That was the foxhole one.
All right, welcome to everybody. This is Amateur Radio Roundtable. I'm Tom Medlin, W5KUB, and we're going to have a great show for you tonight. Today is January the 26th, 2021. January is almost over. Can you believe it? Oh, man. Hey, if you're out there listening on International Shortwave, we'd love to hear from you. This show is about ham radio, amateur radio, and shortwave. If you're out there listening on shortwave, send us a note. Send an email to tom@w5kub.com, tom@w5kub.com. We'd love to hear from you and where you are, and give us a signal report. We're on 7490 kilohertz off of WBCQ out of Monticello, Maine. And if you have internet and you want to join the real show on Tuesdays, this show is on Tuesdays between, it starts at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And just go to YouTube and type in W5KUB, and it'll bring you to our show. So it's W5KUB on YouTube. If you can't remember that, go to our website, W5KUB.com, and you can do the same thing there. Had a pretty good net tonight. We had a few people join in. We cut it off a little early today, but we had a good time on there, and I was hoping Jason was going to be with us tonight. I don't know if he's in the chat room or not, but there were some questions about Wire X. We're gonna be having a DMR net probably starting in a week, in addition to our 40-meter net. And there's people out there that don't have DMR, but they think that Wires X will work with it somehow, with some kind of gateway. I don't know anything about that. But Jason is the expert. Maybe he can talk about that next week to see what can be done to let those Wire X people get into the DMR. Join our Facebook group. It's called W5KUB. We've got over 11,000 hams in that group now, and we'd love to have you. It's just a great place to talk ham radio. Put your shack pictures in there. Katie will pull those shack pictures, and we'll actually show them here on the show. So you need to kind of make it look neat. Let's see. So join our Facebook group there. Oh, and right now, if you will, I need everybody out there, please hit the subscribe button. We normally haven't done this in the past 5 years, but we need now you to hit the subscribe button, because that helps us in our rankings. And also hit the like button, and the like button will also raise our rankings up in YouTube, where they will promote our show. You know, when you're looking at other people's videos and they put the little videos down the side that they recommend, our show's up there sometimes. So hit subscribe, hit the like, and also if you hit the little bell right there is a notification, and that means whenever we come on live, it will actually notify you that we're live. So we'd love to have you do that, if you will. We're going to give away a prize tonight. I'll tell you more about it later. It's going to be an HF antenna. I'll tell you when we're going to do it and how you can get ready to enter into it. But it'll be an instant drawing, and we'll get your name picked and an antenna to you from LDG. All right, so let's just look around the room here and see who all is in the room with us tonight. It looks like to me, there we go. We got Glenn Poppell. How you doing, Glenn?
Hey, doing real good. How about you?
Doing good, man. How you doing down in Mississippi?
Oh, hanging in there. Did you get any of that hail that we got yesterday?
No, but we got some thunder and lightning and some heavy wind and rain that came through here.
Man, we had hail the size of quarters
come down
yesterday. And then that tornado started over in Alabama. But no, we're rolling right along on the book. Been going back and forth with my editor. Heard today that they are targeting a March 1st publication date for it. And
okay.
we've got it about 2/3 edited and put together already. So.
All right. Well, very good. We'll be looking forward to it. And can't wait to buy one.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
It might have some stuff in here I can build.
Well, this is what the chapters are starting to look like. Of course, this is cheap laser printer print.
Yeah.
But that's actually one of the chapters.
Okay. That's cool. Well, very good, Glenn. Good to have you with us tonight. Who's going to be in there next? Let's see who jumps in next. Come on, all you guys out there. Who's going to be with us? Who is there? There we go. Bill. Hey, Bill. What have you been up to, Bill?
Yeah. Oh, just having fun tracking your latest balloon adventure as it approaches Morocco. And came a couple miles of it today.
Well, I want to know why it's been like stuck in the mud for the last 2 days. It has not moved. I don't know if it's I don't know.
We had a balloon that was been around the world launched from California. Gosh, that was 2 weeks ago or more. And it went right over Katie's house.
Oh, that's cool. Well, we should have let her know that, and she could go outside and look for it.
He did. Bill did send me a note, an email, but I was at work and didn't see it till I got home. And of course, I don't have a 20-meter rig at work, but I appreciated the email.
All right. Well, Bill, we're going to talk a little tonight about W5KUB23, and you can also mention some of the others that are out there that you're involved with there. All right, let's jump over to Katie, since Katie's up on the screen there. Katie, how you been doing out there? And have you been really busy with this COVID stuff? I know, are you afraid? Yes. Are you afraid working where you're working?
No, not at all. We all follow the proper protocols and wear a mask around each other. And now everyone in the office has gotten our first dose of the vaccine. But no, follow all the things you should do, like wearing a mask around people, washing your hands a lot, lots of hand sanitizer, keeping your distance where you can. So, and then everybody who comes in, we've got space for folks when they're coming in for their vaccine. But I have to say, I really love it. It's been great, especially, getting to see so many people in our community and, getting our seniors in. We have a huge population that's 70 and over. So it's taken us quite a bit of time just to get through that first grouping, but it's, it feels good to be able to help people and do that. So we're getting there though, but we definitely are at an advantage being a smaller community. Yeah. Versus, the bigger cities that you guys all live in.
I tell you, I don't know what the population is out there, but I think your health center, y'all have like 3 customers?
Well, on a busy day, normally, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was kidding with you.
But don't forget, Wyoming only has about a little over 500,000 people in total. Yeah. And so our entire county only has a little over 7,000 people.
Oh, my goodness. Memphis has more than that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so up in our county, I just saw that AC5CM, Mr. Chris Smidlin, is asking which vaccine we're doing. And up here, we have the Moderna vaccine. So that's the one that you get twice. One, your first shot, and then your second shot isn't any sooner than 28 days. So that's what we're doing up here. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out because we have a couple people that just got upgrades and new licenses. And I just lost Chris. Let me find him here. He said here he is, Chris, Whiskey 4 November Radio Golf, says he got his general on Sunday. So cool. He told us last week. So way to go, Chris. Cool. Congratulations.
Hey, maybe he'll win an antenna tonight.
Hey, you never know. And we got somebody else who's studying for one now. And we had somebody else who just got upgraded, and I lost him earlier in the chat. We mentioned it before the show started. But so anywho, on the ham radio front, I'm really excited to mention the fact, or I can't. Oh, here it is. All right, hold on before I go on. It was Todd. Oh yeah, KM4OCJ. He got his general and extra on Wednesday. So congratulations to Todd. Woohoo! All right.
That's
Now
cool.
back to, it's always nice to be able to share that. So any of you guys, do share that. And hopefully maybe next week we'll do some more shack pictures, Tom.
Yeah.
I've had a
Hey, if
couple
you guys
people-
want to do shack pictures next week,
Yeah.
post them on our Facebook group, and be sure and put a description out there.
Yep. And make sure you tag, like when you're in there, maybe do something like shack chat or something, not shack chat, jeez, shack pictures or something to,
Yeah.
So
just
we
post
pay
them on
attention.
our Facebook group, and please give a description, because it drives Katie crazy when you don't have a description, and she has to make stuff up, man.
Because then Dwayne gets excited about making up names.
Yeah, I
for
know. He
things,
likes to do it.
like
He likes to make those names up.
or
Yeah.
something. So,
Yeah.
but so last week I mentioned to you guys that we've been working on putting together a new club out here for Crook County Hams, which is our county, and so we had a virtual meeting on Thursday. What we did was we sent physical mail to the 50 some odd hams here in Crook County, letting them know that we wanted to see if anybody was interested in, gathering up and what they might like to do. We knew there's a lot of people that have their license and have never been on the air. So we thought, well, let's start with a virtual meeting just to see who we can get interested. And so we had 10 people show up on Thursday evening. We did it on Zoom, and everybody was really excited about getting together. And we had a few different areas of interest. A couple of people had HTs that they were having some issues with. Somebody else wants to get a mobile radio installed. Other people are definitely interested in doing some. We're working on getting another repeater put up here in the county. They're interested in public service events, also, and of course, field day. So it was really cool. So we had all these ideas, and we've already set a date for our first in-person meeting for next month. And so we'll do some outreach through the newspapers so we can reach people, and hopefully get something on our local radio station as well. And just diving right in. So it's taken us a little while, but really excited that we're finally putting our money where our mouth is, and been talking about it forever. So
maybe soon you can start having in-person meetings.
Yeah, well, that's the plan for February, because we do have people that they need some help with radio, so they're going to bring their radio and see what we can do to help. One of the folks may actually only need a better antenna for his handheld. He's already figured out how to program it, but that's the type of thing that you sit down and talk with each other. So I'm working on finding a room that we can use that's big enough for a dozen people to hang out in and keep spaced apart safely.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at, and a couple of people are interested in upgrades. So we're going to work on pulling together a class as well. So I think we might just be, and Dwayne was updating our Facebook page, so we'll be getting that together soon as well. So very excited. So hopefully, knock on wood, we'll have some more active hams here in Northeast Wyoming soon.
Well, good. You need them out there.
Yeah, and our friend Jerry WB7S, I saw him in the chat room. Hi, Jerry. He's out in Basin, Wyoming, and a lot of times I get emails from folks looking to make a Wyoming QSO, and I always have to write back. I'm like, sorry, I'm at work, but contact Jerry. He'll take care of you.
All right.
So yeah, we're trying to do what we can to keep Wyoming on the air around here.
Okie dokie. Let's jump out to Alan. Alan, how you doing, man?
Hello. Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Had a busy day in front of the computer today. This is the week where, as most of you know, I work for Tektronix, and this is the week where we normally would have our either worldwide or at least nationwide sales conference and training conference in Beaverton, Oregon. Of course, we don't have it live now, so this week we're doing it virtually. So I've been spending all day in front of the computer. Long day for that. But a couple of other things, I guess. Something else that, because of COVID, has changed too. Every year for the last 7 or 8 years, I've been involved with running a ham cram to get new technicians licensed. Run out of the Trenton Computer Festival, which is one of the longest computer festivals in the country. Would have been its 50th year last year, but this year it's going to be virtual. So the ham cram is going to be virtual. So we're still trying to figure out if we can figure out a way to have a VE session after the 6-hour ham cram session, but so we're still working on that. But let's see what else. Got a short segment for you tonight. We're going to talk about a multitude of ways of coupling the HF signal out of your radio into your oscilloscope or spectrum analyzer and do it safely.
Okay,
So
that'd be
that's
cool.
what our segment will be tonight. So
That'd be
we'll
good.
get to that later.
All right, now, have I missed anybody? Everybody remotely? Have I picked on you if you're remote? If I haven't called your name, let me know. That doesn't work, does it? Okay. All right. I think we got everybody. Okay. Well, Katie, you and Rich get together and tell us what we got to look forward to next month in CQ.
Well, I would be happy to do that. It is the last Tuesday of the month, which always means our friend Rich Moseson, W2VU from CQ Magazine, is joining us. Going to give us a sneak peek at what's coming up in the next issue. So welcome back, Rich. Nice to see you here in
Thank you.
2021.
Yes, Happy New Year to everybody. Last time we were all together was still 2020. And glad to be with you. We had a little dusting of snow here today. We're supposed to get a couple of inches, but that didn't happen. I don't know. Alan's a little west of me, and maybe he got a little more. I don't know. But we ended up with enough to look nice on the grass and not mess up the street. So we're happy about that. Before I get to the February issue, I want to mention, Glenn was talking about books before. We are just about finished with our new propagation handbook. This is the old one, but this is going to be the 4th edition of the CQ shortwave propagation handbook, completely updated and revised. Carl Lutzel-Schwab, K9LA, has been the lead writer on this, bringing everything up to date, adding all sorts of new material just in time for the start of Solar Cycle 25. I've been deeply involved with following the writing and editing on it, and it's a fantastic, fantastic resource. And we're starting to take pre-orders now. So anybody who is interested in the whys and hows and wherefores of shortwave propagation and how to do your own projections and predictions, we've got both links to all sorts of good software and old-fashioned analog tables for doing your own predictions in the book. And it's going to be a fantastic resource. So that is on its way to the printer now. So it should be available quite soon. And you can pre-order on our website at cqamateurradio.com with a couple of hyphens thrown in.
Great.
And a really cool cover that I don't have a picture of in color at the moment. So February issue of CQ is our annual QRP special. And we are just loaded up with low power articles, plus a whole lot more. We start out with our QRP quickies, which we started doing last year with some short pieces by a few different people. We've got AC2YD with what 2 watts can do. A2QFA is going to be on the cover with adventures with his FT818, and VE3IPS with the Bayou Jumper, a modern day version of the Paraset radio. Interesting note on the Bayou Jumper, that's a four states QRP group radio that they had retired, and we understand they're going to be bringing it back and maybe even enhancing it a little bit. So that's something to look forward to if you're into QRP. It was a really great radio. Our former QRP editor, Dennis Lazar, W4DNN, has an article on how a burned out transistor launched me into the world of QRPP. It's very low power, 1 watt or less.
Oh, wow.
And he's got, we've got another QRPP article coming up in March, most likely. Just working on it now with contacts with 200 milliwatts.
Gosh.
also all over the place. Our friend VK4QS down in Australia, who's been writing a lot for us recently, has a piece on the pure magic of QRP CWDXing. And don't need to say anything more than that. And then AH6CY, who just published a book through RSGB on the Paraset radio, has a piece called The Squirrel Zapper, multi-band balcony railing antenna for LF and HF. And he assures us that no actual squirrels were harmed in the process
That's good.
designing this antenna or using it. WA6ARA has a great article on portable QRP satellite operation. And in our CQ Classic, we go back to the days when solid state meant QRP. A semiconductor column by the late Don Stoner, W6TNS, from 1961 on a 1-watt transistor transmitter. And back in 1961, 1 watt was about all you could get out of a transistor. So we have a second classic, also by Don, on converting the Globe pocket phone to 10 meters. This was a kind of a CB handheld that he was converting over to 10-meter operation. So it's also low power, obviously. We realized as we were putting the issue together and at the same time updating our cumulative index on our website that we've got over 4 decades worth of QRP articles in CQ. Really goes even further back than that, but our online index only goes back to 1980. But we've got somewhere like 300 articles in the past 40 years on QRP. So what we did was gathered all of them up, pulled the section on QRP off our index, and published the listing of the 300 plus articles that we've published on QRP in the last 41 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So does that list the which issue that was, so someone could reference that or go find it?
Yes.
That's cool.
The title, the author, the year, month, and page, and then people can access our online archive that is hosted by hamcall.net to go find the old articles. So, in our columns, we got 3 QRP-focused columns. Our QRP column, obviously. The KA at SMA is writing about QRP contesting and an experience he had of no contact for you. Got to read it to find out.
That's intriguing.
Yes. Learning Curve Editor KO0Z has a piece on QRP and antennas. And Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB, who you are familiar with, has his kit building column this month on creating some sawdust. It's the sawdust receiver from Breadboard Radio, which is going to be a nice companion for a QRP transmitter, which he's going to be writing about in March. So you got a whole station there. And that's just the QRP stuff. We've got all this too. It isn't
Good
QRP.
grief.
We've got, this is a jam-packed issue, I'll tell you. K8ZT has his annual WPX crossword. If you're looking for something to do when the bands are dead, do the crossword instead. We got a project article from WA9PYH on building a dual-band low-noise amplifier for 2 meters and 70 centimeters. An article from K3BEQ on streaming video over internet protocol for amateur radio. And a combination of hobbies article from WA5KBH called Let's Eyeball and Chip a While. George is into wood chipping, a type of wood carving, and he's done all sorts of ham radio related carvings for his station and for his friends, and it's a really cool article. And among our columns, in addition to the QRP ones, we have one that is decidedly not QRP. Maths Notes this month is on a 1 kilowatt optical transmitter. You still have an old slide projector around that's looking for repurposing, then you can use the 1,000 watt bulb that comes in most slide projectors and the filters to use it as an optical transmitter. I love the things our columnists come up with.
I know, that's wild. And there's people that have those slide projectors in their basement or attic somewhere.
I've got one.
Yeah.
Glenn's
Yeah, we got
one.
hands raising
Yep.
all around the room here. You guys aren't seeing.
So,
We're just like, oh, that's me.
And Eric Nichols, KL7AJ, in his Analog Adventures column, is writing this month about analog archaeology, going back to stuff in the early days of CQ's predecessor magazine, Radio Magazine, and finding some cool stuff in there. K0RV, our homing in editor, has a piece on Navy scientists learning RF technology by fox hunting. And that's a really, really interesting piece. Our antennas column this month by WA5VJB is all about how to properly mount a Yagi so that your mast doesn't become an extra element.
Good idea.
Yeah, it's a problem some people have.
I've always wondered about
new
that.
awards editor, KI4KWR, has his first column this month. And Katie, you should tell Dwayne it's all about chasing FT8 awards. Since he's on FT8.
FT8
right now.
awards.
So, and,
Well, okay. I think he's in the middle of a QSO over there. So.
and finally, our propagation editor, NW7US, has a report on the first ever complete observation of a nanoflare. And if you don't know what a nanoflare is, I certainly didn't until I read this. I have to read it. Well, I'll give you a hint. Nanoflares are tiny eruptions on the sun, 1/billionth the size of a typical X-ray solar flare. And were first predicted in 1972. And scientists still have not solved the mystery of coronal heating. And this they feel has a very key role in it. They're very small and very fast, and they have a lot to do with heating of the sun's corona. So it's a fascinating article to read, as is just about everything in this issue. So I
In
highly
every issue.
recommend it. And we've got even more cool stuff coming up in March. March is one of those really interesting issues that comes along that decides on its own what it's going to be. And you can plan all you want, but every once in a while there's an issue that comes along and says, no, we're not going to do it your way. We're going to do it my way. And this is how the March issue is shaping up. So
kind of like the kitchen soup or what is it? It's like the kitchen sink soup or casserole is like or refrigerator soup. It's kind of like you throw everything in and see what comes out when you're done.
But usually those issues that build themselves are among the best.
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, I did post your link to your website, and I realized I think I'm actually due to renew my subscription. So when the show's over, I'm going to log in and check my status and get one of those calendars. So, but the website for those of you that maybe aren't in the chat room, see. Would you like to share what it is?
Of
How they
course.
can?
It's www.cq-amateur, that's EUR, radio.com.
Perfect. Well, this sounds again like a great issue, and I just noticed, if you guys are not currently subscribed, and you're hearing about all the great things that Rich is talking about. When you go to the website, again, cq-amateur-radio.com, you can click right at the very top. It says, click here to view a recent issue now. So you could get a sample from a previous issue. And when I just clicked on it, it looks like it's from February of 2019. But, if you're not currently subscribed, who cares when it was? Because there's always great information and always great articles. So check it out and add it to your reading list for ham radio stuff. So we always appreciate CQ Magazine's support of our show and you coming here every month and talking about what's coming up. So thank you so much, Rich.
My pleasure. And I always love chatting with you guys before and during the show.
Great. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I guess we will see you next month. So I will turn it back to net control. I'll turn it back to the show control.
Show control. Okay, we're back to the show control, guys. Oh man, hey, thanks, Rich, for all that great information there. I gotta dig my copy out and look at it, and I'm interested in starting to build some little projects and stuff. Maybe we'll start doing some of those projects on the show here. All right, guys, we're gonna in just a moment we're gonna give away an HF antenna to someone. I'm going to tell you when we come back, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, I'm going to tell you what you have to do to get into the instant drawing. So we'll be right back with you guys. Don't go away. Happy 2021 from Icom. Icom's IC705 gives hours of fun and enjoyment working your favorite bands this holiday season. The IC705 is a perfect sidekick for hams that like to enjoy what both the great outdoors and indoors have to offer. It's the perfect QRP companion. Base station features and functionality at the tip of your fingers in a portable package. It covers HF 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at just over 2 pounds. Features include a 4.3-inch touchscreen with live band scope. You can get 5 watts with the BP272 and 10 watts with the 13.8 volt DC. It has all modes, single sideband, CW, AM, FM, as well as full D-Star functions. A micro USB connector, Bluetooth, and WLAN, integrated GPS with antenna and GPS logger, and it supports QRP and QRPP operations. The perfect accessory for the IC705 is a now available optional backpack with a special compartment for your IC705 and room for all the accessories. And there are a lot of accessories such as the QRP portable magnetic antenna, lithium-ion battery pack, compact lapel PTT Bluetooth and earphone, and coming soon is the AH705 antenna tuner. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on Icom radios.
LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art antenna tuners for every amateur need. From QRP to QRO, fixed stations, portable and remote, an LDG tuner will match your radio to your antenna using our lightning-fast, proprietary tuning algorithms. LDG is a family-owned and operated company dedicated to bringing innovative, quality products to the amateur market. All LDG products carry a full 2-year warranty that is fully transferable. Support is only a phone call or email away. We're always here to help you. Visit us on the web at ldgelectronics.com.
All right, and we are back. And all right, let's talk a little about our antenna giveaway. And we thank Dwayne Kincaid at LDG. Man, I tell you, we're giving away an antenna for 8 weeks. We're going to be giving away an antenna. Here's what we're going to do. We're giving away 2 of each of these. Each week we'll give away 1. Tonight we're working on the G5RV dipole tonight. This is a kit. All these antennas are LDG kits, and this kit includes your 120 feet of wire, 32 foot of ladder line, 1 center insulator, 2 end insulators, and the LDG RBA 4-to-1 balun. So this is a complete system here to put together. You know, it doesn't take a whole lot of skills to put this together. You win this, you're going to get all the parts, and you'll have this antenna probably put together in just a few minutes and ready to use it. So here's what we got to do. Here's what we have to do, guys. Hambot is semi-retired, as you know, so we're having to do things a little differently. Now, right now, there's a participants list of all the people in our YouTube chat room, but we're only seeing about 10 people. It's only the active people, and we're only seeing a list of 10 people. We're gonna choose from the list, but we need everybody to get in that list. So here's how you get in the list. I want everybody right now to just hit a period and hit the enter key, or say hi and hit the enter key. But you got to put something in just real quick. Everybody just put something in the chat so it will register you as an active chatter. And then what we'll do, we'll take that list, and Hambot will pick a person out of that list. Now, since we know that Yeah, look. Okay, since we know that you're here, we're not gonna make you claim it like Hambot used to, because we know right now that you're saying I'm here, and I want to win it. So if we pick your name, you're going to get the prize. So here we go. We got a bunch of them here, and they're still coming in. Look, I don't know if you guys are seeing the chat room activity or not, but.
You let everybody know they only need to really do it once.
Yeah, just do it once. It's not going to help.
List of the chat. So.
Yeah, it's not going to help to do it more than once. We'll just get you in there. So we're going to give you just a minute or so here to get everybody in here. If you want to win, you just enter something in the chat, a period, a hello, a hi, and hit the enter key. And we will get you in there. And let's see, who was that?
It does show how many people are sandbagging in that chat room.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. We're going to call Hambot out of retirement just to do this. So here's Hambot. All right, Hambot says let's give out a prize. So, okay, it should be announced. Everybody watch this. It should be announced in the chat room here, the winner. And that's going to be, let's see, has Hambot put it in there yet? Okay, I'm looking for...
I saw the announcement of what it was.
You did see the announcement? Because I can't...
Just what it was.
Yeah,
I haven't
okay.
seen that she put who it is
Like
yet.
Charlie got it.
Okay, I just didn't see it and everything is scrolled.
Yeah.
So somebody won it. It was the...
Charlie Pelchiar.
What was that?
Charlie Pelchiar.
Charlie won it. Okay, Charlie.
Pechiar. Pechiar.
Okay, Charlie, send me an email to tom@w5kub.com. tom@w5kub.com. And I need your address and information. And also, I should have made this at the beginning. I have to say this. It needs to be a U.S. address because international shipping could get pretty expensive on these. So we need a domestic address. I mean, you can live in Canada, but have a U.S. address or something like that, you know. So I don't know if Charlie has a U.S. address or not. I hope he does. If Charlie doesn't, we will then, of course, reissue it again. Okay. All right. So that was cool there. And hey, what was that?
You just popped up on the chat and went, me!
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Yay, Charlie!
Okay. Hey, I just want to mention Nuts and Bolts magazine again, guys. You already subscribed to this. Just some neat things. There's an article in here I think I'm going to build. When I was working on the little 100 milliwatt amplifier, I kept having to change bias resistors on the MOSFET. And it brought me back to an idea or a thought of what I had back in the 60s. That was a resistance box where you can actually have a little box with different variable resistors in there. And they've got one in Nuts and Bolts here to build. And you can do the same thing with capacitors, but that would really have made the job easier for me. And also I want to thank Nuts and Bolts, because if you look on page 92 of this issue, you can see we're in there on page 92 of Nuts and Bolts, and we're also running that ad in CQ magazine. So we're in the CQ magazine every month with our ad.
Hey,
all
Tom?
right. Yes.
I got something on that resistance substitution box you're talking about. At the low power levels you're using,
Yeah.
You can use a digital pot chip.
A digital chip. Well, that's interesting.
The Arduino, and it'll handle those power levels, and you can select any resistance range from like 0 to 50K.
So what do I have to do? Build up the little Arduino thing or something?
Yeah, you use like a Nano.
Yeah. Okay.
And the chip.
All right.
And you've already got the Arduino.
Yeah,
on the board, so you can really
Okay.
just-
Well, I'll consider that. And we'll think about that. Very good. All right. So we got the antenna out of the way. Thanks to again Dwayne Kincaid there at LDG for the antennas each week. Okay, let's talk about let's talk with Alan at Tech Tips. Let's jump over to Alan real quick. Alan, how you doing?
Alrighty, good to see everybody. Alan W2AEW here. Oh, Katie, it looks like David Wilson was asking if the 2015 calendar is still available. So I don't know.
Oh, is he? Okay, yeah. Katie, I don't know if Katie is still here or not, but are you here, Katie?
I am still here.
Is your 2015 calendar still available?
It is. I got it right here.
All right, let me ask you a question. How do you want to do it? I mean, somebody's asking for it here. Do you want to just give it away, or do you want to give it away as a prize? Do we want
As
to
a
pick
boopy prize, maybe.
Huh? Yeah. Do we want to pick a name? I mean, how do you want to do this?
Well, actually, Dwayne and I were talking. We're going to work on actually doing a real donated a prize here after we're done with all the LDG stuff.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Maybe we'll roll it into that, but we'll give you news on that later on.
Okay. Well, that's cool, man. Thanks. Okay.
Back to the tech tips.
Back to Tech Tips.
Back to
Been
Tech
waiting
Tips.
All right. So I thought what I'd talk about today is safe ways of connecting the output of your HF radio to either an oscilloscope or a spectrum analyzer. A lot of people have asked about this over the years, and there's people worry, well, I can't just plug it in, right? That's the first thing you don't want to do, is just take the output of your radio and plug it right into the front of your scope or spectrum analyzer. That's a real good way of letting the smoke out of your spectrum analyzer or your scope. So you don't want to do that. But there are lots and lots and lots of ways of doing it safely. Some of them cost you virtually nothing. And I just have a couple of visual examples here I'll show you. One is if you just take your ordinary, let me turn my virtual background off here because it looks like it's going to mess up what I'm trying to show. So let me go and you can just see my kind of dull room I'm in here. But so if you just take like a jumper that you typically have between maybe your rig and your SWR meter, or your rig or your tuner, and you just wrap a couple of turns of wire around it, okay, and then connect up that wire to your scope, either directly through a piece of coax or with a probe or something like that. Most of us are using coax that is 80%, 85% shield effectiveness, and that's going to be enough to pick up enough signal for your scope to see it. So pretty simple and easy. You're not going to hurt your scope. You're not going to hurt your radio, and your radio won't even know it's there. But that's probably the simplest and easiest way to do that. Just a couple of turns of wire around a piece of coax. So that's number one. Another thing you can do is if you're using an antenna tuner, like or a transmatch or something like that, that's got multiple switch positions on it for multiple antennas, you could connect your scope up to one of the unused outputs, one that you normally don't switch your rig to. And just there's enough RF floating around inside the box of the tuner that when you're connecting up through your normal antenna, there'll be enough RF stray in there that unused connector will pick up some RF signal and will send it off to your scope or your spectrum analyzer. Pretty simple. Just do not switch to that position so you don't connect your radio or directly to the instrument. As long as you are careful not to do that, you can certainly very safely go ahead and use that unused position as a tap point, and it works pretty well. If you don't have a free spot, and maybe you're using an antenna tuner or something like that, if you just took a simple panel mount connector, like this little BNC panel mount connector, drill a hole in the back of the your tuner or whatever it might be, and just bolt this in there. Maybe solder a little length of wire on the end of it, like a little antenna, could be an inch long, and don't have it touch anything. Just have it hang out in there, hanging out straight. That'll be enough of a pickup to grab enough signal to display on your scope or spectrum analyzer very easily. Again, cost you about the one junk box part of an RF connector. Simple as that. Years ago, I put one of them in the back of this dummy load, so I could monitor what's going on right in the back of the dummy load. Super simple. Okay, that's another way to go. Another way to go. This is something I built. I did a talk at a radio club years ago about doing RF sampling, and this is just a couple of RF connectors. The ones in the center is RF input and output. And then right on the back is just a little resistor divider. And values really are not super critical. I think I made it like 100-to-1 divider with a capacitor going off to another connector that you connect off to the scope. Super simple. And you just have to do some calculations for power, but Those first ones, you don't have to do any calculations at all. You just put it together. But this is just another example. If you want to get a little more controlled, in the ARRL antenna handbook, as well as the regular handbook, there are a couple of plans for building a little directional coupler, like for an SWR meter like this. So you could build something like this, connect up, from your rig to your antenna, connect up to one of the sample ports to go off to your, again, to your instrument. Pretty simple to go ahead and build. A little nicer looking than just, this other mess that I had. Now, if you don't like building anything, you don't have the capability of building something else you could do is, if you had a little T connector like this, do not connect this directly up to the scope, because that's as bad as hooking the coax directly up. But if you had a T connector like that, if you drill out or remove the center contact for the point that's going to go to the scope, there'll be enough capacitive coupling with the stub that's left, as long as it's not making a direct contact, to couple some signal into the scope, and that'll work. Now, the commercial version of that looks something like this guy here. So it's and you can find these things online. This is kind of even designing it up to microwaves. It's got end connectors on it, but this is the through path from here out to here. And this guy, it looks like a little bit of a plunger, because it is. And if you look at this, it's a BNC connector on one end, and the other end of it, you can see, oh my God, the camera will pick this up or not, it's getting washed out. It's just kind of a stub that ends right here. We can get this to kind of do a little bit better job here. You can kind of see a little bit of a silver dot on the end of that. And all this is doing is going inside this this little tube, and depending on how far you push this in or not will determine how much coupling you're going to get from your main path out to the instrument you have. And so if you got it, you can put this on the output of a kilowatt amplifier. As long as you pull this out far enough to get less and less coupling, you're not going to get a whole lot of energy going into your instrument, and it works just fine. So you can find these things on Amazon, eBay, things like that. So, so that's another way to go, and that's kind of a, nothing you've got to build. Bird, same people that make RF power meters, they've got a kind of their own version of it. It's an RF sampler. It looks like this, and a little lever with an adjustable little tap. So this is another way to go. You got your main RF path going through here, and then this port goes out to your instrument. That works just as well. Sometimes you can find these at Hamfest. People don't know what they are. Pick it up. Okay. Another way to go here is something called a directional coupler. Here's one from a company called Mini Circuits out of Brooklyn. A directional coupler basically will take your main path going through, and for signals going in one direction, we'll couple a small piece of that out the coupled port. It might be 20 dB down, 10 dB down, 30 dB down, depending on the coupler that you get. And that's a really nice way of coupling in as well. And it's also somewhat calibrated. So if you wanted to actually make power measurements, you can actually go do that as well. Let's see, another option I've got here. Some people may not realize this. Most people look at this and say, oh, that's a Bird 43, right? So how can I use that? Well, it turns out there are versions of the Bird 43 that actually have a sampler built in. You see this one's got a little knob here to adjust the sampler, and there's a little port over here on the side, a little BNC connector. And so instead of being a Bird number 43, this is a 4431. So if you see a 4431 for sale, pick that up, and that gives you a way of monitoring your forward and reverse power and be able to send your signal off to a scope or spectrum analyzer to go take a look at it very safely. So regardless of which of these methods you use, just start off safe and say, well, I'm going to, turn your scope up to a relatively high volts per division, do some tests, and then bring it down until you see the signal. If you're coming into a spectrum analyzer, set the spectrum analyzer's reference level to something very high, plus 20, plus 30 dBm. Okay, maybe even just barely, don't push the connector all the way on so it doesn't make connection, do some tests, just to be sure you're not coupling too much energy in. And but if you're using a coupler, like this one here with the little plunger, you can kind of start off with it disconnected and do some tests and just push this in until you get enough signal level and then lock it down and stop. So lots of ways of coupling that signal in. I've got a number of videos on my YouTube channel that show how you can interpret some of the waveforms that you see on your scope, to look for things like flat topping and look at the modulation for either AM or PSK or single sideband and that type of thing. And then if you're doing home brewing of things, you might want to look at the spectral purity of your output to see whether or not you need a low pass filter or that type of a thing. So lots of good reasons why you might want to connect up some instrumentation to your rigs. And those are some of the safe ways to potentially go ahead and do it. Just take a look, again, if you search my channel under like RF sampler or RF tap, you'll find some videos that I did on some of these things here as well. So I haven't been taking a look at the chat, so I don't know if there's any questions.
Yeah, there's a question. Let me see. I'm gonna. Well, you're gonna have to duck a little bit unless I adjust your. There you go. There you go. You had to. Yeah, there you go. I don't have time to adjust it right now. But anyway, hey, yeah. The one question: how much loss does that little T coupler cause? I guess I'm sure it's more at VHF or UHF than it is at HF.
Well, it's actually the other way around. The amount of coupling you get is actually worse at HF than it is at VHF.
No, I was talking. I think
capacitive coupling.
Yeah, I think the question is how much loss if you insert that T in there. How much loss would that cause you in your line? I would think it'd be minimal.
The loss in the main line, probably even at VHF or UHF for a coupler like this that's designed with N connectors, less than a dB.
Yeah.
Okay, it's basically just the same as two connectors, right? So it really isn't that bad at all. But, the coupled loss is going to go the other way, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I consider that the attenuation, basically. Right. Loss is the same thing, but yeah.
Yeah, the loss through a directional coupler or something like this is typically going to be quite low. Less than a dB in most cases.
Uh-huh.
Right. Any other questions in there? I didn't go back and look.
But there was a general consensus that when you're doing your presentations, the chat room gets really quiet.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
I think everybody's paid attention and learning something. So.
Or I'm putting everybody to sleep. One of the two. I don't know.
No, definitely not.
You've got a guy here. Let's see. I want to thank you, sir. He's talking about you. He's watching you in Karachi, Pakistan right now.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
Wow. Around the world.
Yeah. Hey, just a minute ago, our winner, I think, was Charlie, and I understand he's in Uruguay, but he's going to meet our criteria, as we've said other days, and I forgot to mention this time. If you've got a U.S. address we can ship to, that's fine. If you can figure out how to get it from a U.S. address to your home, and there are a number of hams that have that capability. So I think Charlie is still going to be good there to get his prize. Let's see. What do you think? Let's see.
Charlie also mentioned he was there with his two kids who were both hams. So
oh, cool. Yeah.
Hanging out with the harmonics.
All right. Well, hey, that was a great presentation. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's very handy for people to know, and it's very useful. Let's see. I was just looking back at the chat room. Did anybody see the other questions?
I have a comment about Karachi, Pakistan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your balloon will be over Pakistan in about 4 days from now.
Oh, man.
If he wants to listen on 20 meters of whisper, it'll be a pretty strong signal for him.
Well, if he is a member of our Facebook group, there in Pakistan, join our Facebook group. You can follow our balloon, and we'll let you know when it's going to get over Pakistan. We might want to get you to help us track it there on Whisper. All right, any other questions? Let's see.
Where it would be handy to have some receive stations.
Let's see. Let's see if there's any more questions for Alan.
Well, Ernie Johnston mentioned that another good coupler, which is very similar to this thing that I showed here, is a PL259 T connector. And if you unscrew the center pin out of the SO239, it's the same thing as kind of drilling out the center pin. And then you get the same kind of a thing like this capacitive coupler here. Again, doesn't cost you much other than the adapter. So another great tip.
I didn't know until recent years that those things actually unscrewed until I had one fall apart on me.
I never knew they did.
Yeah, it screws right out, man. It's
a lot of those. I remember going probably 20 years ago. I was working on some high-speed digital circuits using a high-speed bit error rate tester for looking at optical data links, and we had some really expensive SMA cables to carry these 2.4 gigabit signals that we were testing, and for some reason we were getting really bad bit error rate on these long PRBS patterns, and it turned out that somewhere along the way somebody had mishandled the cables. Like any of these really high frequency cables, you never want to have the center conductor spin in the jack, right? You want to always undo the nut and pull the connector directly out so that you never get that scrubbing action on the center pin. Well, somebody must have unscrewed an adapter or an attenuator and did it the wrong way, wound up unscrewing the center pin out of the SMA cable. Nobody ever noticed it. We were using it to connect up. There was enough capacitive coupling that the very high frequency bits were getting through, but the long runs of ones and zeros were getting attenuated, we're getting errors. It took us hours to figure out that's what was going on, and someone lost the pin out of one of those cables.
And I'll tell you something, Alan. I have over the years. I mean, and I've been in electronics for 60 years, and also in data networking and like Ethernet cables. And for a long time, I thought, man, a cable's not bad. Cable don't go bad. But I have found a lot of cables that have actually gone bad.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah. You find weird failure modes when you least expect it.
Yeah.
Hey, Alan.
Yeah.
When I was in the Corps, we used to test our radar systems with an O-scope, and we would actually take a piece of old waveguide, drill a hole in it, and put a Teflon-coated bolt on top of it. We'd screw it in a little bit at a time until we got the signal that we wanted to have.
There you go.
That's cool.
That's basically the same concept of that, just homebrew. That works.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Yeah.
And thinking about things that go bad that you wouldn't expect it to, we lost a barrel connector last summer.
Yeah.
A barrel connector in the middle of in the coax here where I connect the shack up went bad.
Yeah. And it's like, and you think, well, what's wrong with that? You look at it, you can't tell, and crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you something too. I really never ran much power my first 30 years of being a ham, but I have noticed some very low quality connectors like barrel connectors that they just can't take the high power, and they do cause problems. If you look close, there'll be a little arc across there. Even connectors,
Yeah, you got to watch the connectors that you get really cheap on. People say, "Oh, I bought it on eBay." eBay is not an electronics store, right? eBay is where anybody wants to sell their junk, right? So eBay is not a distributor. So you got to just be careful. You can get some real bargains. You get 100 SMA connectors in a bag for $8, but what kind of quality are they going to have?
And
just gotta think about that. So,
I had a cheapie a while back, just a plain old PL259, and after examining it, you could see a little burnt place from the center to the edge there, and so I finally learned at this old age to buy better quality parts.
yeah, you get what you pay for. Still holds true.
That's right.
I've had the modern couplers just literally come apart.
Yeah. All right. Well, any other questions? Let's see. Hey, before we move on here, thank you, Alan, for that.
Sure.
And before we move on with that, let me just say to everybody out there, again, this show is also on a world-famous shortwave station, WBCQ, and we're on 7490 kilohertz. This entire show can be heard, a full 2 hours of it can be heard on Thursdays between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock Eastern Time on 7490 on WBCQ up in Monticello, Maine. If you're out there listening on shortwave, send us an email to tom@w5kub.com, tom@w5kub.com. We'd love to hear from you. This show is about ham radio or amateur radio, and you can also join us on Tuesdays. When we're live, you can join us Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central. I think it is 0200 UTC on Wednesdays. You can join us by just going to YouTube and search for W5KUB. Hey guys, I'm just really happy about the way the show's going tonight. Statistics here showing that we've had 925 people join the show tonight. We've got 201 concurrent in there right this moment at the same time. So we've been running about 200 or more the entire show concurrent, but we're up to 926 right now. So that's real good. Let's see. Let's talk a little about. Let's talk a little about balloons. I'm sorry. Who was that? Hey, Bill.
I had something to add about to follow up on Alan's presentation. I just recently got this in. It's called a Tiny SA. It's a tiny spectrum analyzer, and it does a marvelous job. It gives you peak power readings, the fundamental and the harmonics, and just a really nice little portable battery operated deal. But you see that little device right there. You don't want to. I'm running QRPP. Way below a watt. We're around 20 milliwatts coming out of these balloon transmitters, and even so, you want to put an attenuator in front of your spectrum analyzer. This is a little SMA coaxial antenna attenuator that you can buy for about $10 or so on eBay or Mini Circuits. And it's really, this is a 30 dB attenuator, because even with 20 milliwatts, you want to power that, you drop that down, because this spectrum analyzer doesn't like much more than 10 dBm, so 10 milliwatts. So you want to keep that power down. Just be aware, if you're feeding the power directly in, have a appropriate sized attenuator. And if it's running any kind of power, get one that's got a heat sink on it that can handle the power. So that's one common thing we had at where I used to work. The spectrum analyzer, several of the attenuation ranges were burnt out because people would just put a 10-watt radio directly into it without a external attenuator, and we had to calibrate which ranges were burned out and avoid those.
Do that once.
Yeah. So, but anyways, this is a really cool. It's about $60. I got it. You can buy it on eBay, and it does a marvelous little job when you're working with QRP and even higher power transmitters.
Use any of these coupling techniques, you can get 40, 50, 60 dB of attenuation through the coupling, and then safely look at the output of your 100-watt rig.
That's right. So I've been very pleased with this. I just got it in last week, and been having a lot of fun with it.
All right, cool.
All right. Well, Bill, let's talk about the balloons a little bit. Our balloon, I think our voltage-wise, we've done really well with our voltages. It's hard to see this, but guys, if you look at this very last column here on the very right, these are all transmissions from W5KUB, and it shows that we're actually transmitting a little bit, maybe a half a degree before the sun comes up, and we're even transmitting maybe a degree after the sun goes down. Now, here's the thing I don't know. Bill, maybe you can tell me. At 43,000 feet, that's got to change the angle a little bit. I would think with the sun 93 million miles away, it's not going to make a big difference. How much it makes?
The fact that you're seeing minus solar angles is the fact that it is 7 miles above the Earth. And so it's going to be able to see the sun even though it's dark directly below it.
So, okay, so it's actually seeing about 1 degree below. If we were on the ground, we're not going to see that. So up there, we're seeing 1 below. So that's interesting.
Well, you can see about 250 miles to the west from the balloon at that altitude. So that's just like your ground position has been moved 250 miles to the west. So you're going to get another 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Of,
Well, that's really interesting. It helps put it in perspective now, where I kind of understand that difference there. If we were on the ground,
because you're getting right down to sunset. With your new solar panel arrangement, you're actually receiving. You're actually be able to transmit as the sun sets on it. So it's pretty impressive arrangement you've got there.
Yeah, I'm real happy about it. Of course, it came with some cost of weight, but but I don't think it's hurting us that much. We're still flying about the same altitude that we were flying when we had one 7 or 8 grams lighter. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of difference.
Yeah, that for these bigger balloons, that SBS-13 can handle more weight. So it's doing a phenomenal job. And do you have a map of the Whisper signal reports showing just how far you're getting? The propagation has been really good on 20 meters lately, and your little 12 milliwatt transmitter is really getting out very well. So you've got the antenna tuned just right.
I guess, and that's always questionable because I've got extra little hookup wire in there that I hook to that it hangs from, and I mean I try to get it as close as I can in the right length, but boy, I wish I could get a VLA or whatever you call that thing on there, and just look at it just really close and just really fine tune it, but not able to. I'm gonna bring up the Whisper.
Well, you need something like this then.
Now, what does that do? Oh, yeah. Well, but how do I gotta get it up in the air though.
I've been testing it. Just 3 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's surprising. Magnet wire is actually pretty narrow as far as the best return loss. So, but it could still cover the entire ham band if you tune it just right with a 2-to-1 SWR on it. So it works out pretty well, but you really have to prune it just right, and you have to compensate for the fact that you're more of a near space environment. So instead of 468 divided by frequency, it's going to be closer to 492, which is the ideal free space calculation for antenna length. So you have to kind of compromise between the two. I think it's closer to about 485 while it's floating around 40,000 feet.
Yeah. So here's a plot of Whisper reception. You can see it's doing pretty good. It's been picked up in Australia at over 11,000 miles away. So I about decided I don't need to put an amplifier on here. I was pulling my hair out trying to get the amplifier working, but that's going to add a gram of weight, and it's really not necessary.
Look, you got Bill's call sign up there in Iceland.
Yeah, Bill tuned in from Iceland. You want to tell us about that, Bill?
Yeah, I've been tuning into remote software-defined radios around the world, and so that it doesn't mess up the propagation reports on Whisper, I actually enter these remote internet websites have a 4-digit grid square, so I entered that into my WSJT-X program as my locator. So I've been getting around a lot lately.
Yeah, you really have.
Brazil and Iceland and all over Europe, trying to listen for Tom's slow CW and see if I can get some good copy on it from a variety.
I'm gonna play that. Let's see, phone. I'm gonna play this. This is Bill. Bill sent this to me. He actually copied the Morse code ID, the CW ID, and then it's a demonstration of the Argo that copies the call letters. And if you look, it puts the call letters in a visual form. And let's see. Let me start this over. I was talking and make sure I got some volume here.
W5KU.
That was the ID. Now this is cool here. I haven't loaded this software yet, but this is cool. If you watch, you'll see the dots and the dashes. You'll see W5KUB in Morse code visually. So there's the W coming in. You can see the da-da. There's the 5. Did. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Man, that is that's interesting.
And I've received a good copy on it from Iceland and Ireland and Poland. One of my friends in Poland was able to copy it yesterday on the Argo program, which is a free program for viewing the audio spectrum for the slow CW or QRSS mode that's just below the whisper band. Typically, the whisper bands if you turn to 14.09, 5.6 upper sideband for whisper in your waterfall display, and if you run this Argo program, the slow CW QRSS modes are usually between 1200 hertz and about 1350 hertz or so.
Mm-hmm.
So it's right below, it's about 100 kc, just kilohertz, below the whisper band.
So here's our whisper for today, and let's look at the APRS. We've been stuck in some 20-mile-an-hour wind for the past 2 days, and it was getting, man, we just wasn't getting anywhere, but here we are right off the coast of Africa, or I guess that's a Sahara, Western Sahara there maybe, I don't know, can't tell. I guess we're a little below that, a little below Morocco. We'll be crossing into Algeria. And right now, this last picture here that we have, it was taken, it went to sleep at 12:28 this afternoon. So it's been traveling for about 8 hours from that spot. So I don't know, 20 miles per hour times 8 hours. It's probably going to be, 120 miles in maybe. Let's put a ruler on here. I'm going to put a ruler here, and I'm going to pull 120 miles. There's 90. There's 120 miles. So that's probably about right where it is right now. And this is what I'm wanting to get into right here. Let me show you what we're trying to get to. If you'll notice here, this is Africa. If you have to look close here, this is Africa. And we have been stuck in this little thing right here. That's where the slow wind has been. I'm going to click on that, and that shows the wind 24 miles an hour. But if you just look right over here, in this yellow and the white, this is where we're heading. The speeds here are 120 miles an hour, and if we could just get in that jet stream right there, it's going to take it all the way. Here's Korea and Japan, so it's going to take it all the way out into the Pacific, and then who knows what's going to happen between there and the United States. Just not sure, but maybe we can make up some lost time.
By the way, Tom, I just have a length of magnet wire in the house here, and I just did an SWR scan with this antenna analyzer. And you can
That's
see
cool.
It's a very sharp dip, right? This one's tuned to 20 to 15 meters.
Now,
The nice thing about the analyzer, it actually has, if you see the blue vertical lines where there's a heavier blue, that's showing the ham bands.
So you're outside the ham band.
Currently, I am.
Okay.
Yes.
And about how wide is that the bandwidth of that?
For the 1.5 kilohertz and 1.5 to 1 SWR, it's probably about 100 hertz.
Oh man. And
Not 100 hertz. Sorry. It's probably 100 kilohertz.
okay. Because the smaller wire is going to have a narrower bandwidth, and
That's right.
it could be critical trying to get that right on your frequency. But it looks like that's cool, man. But I think things are going to change a little once you get it vertical, once you get it up in the air at 40,000. I think it's going to move it a little bit. So I'm not sure we will really know where it really is. That might get it in the ballpark.
You would move in frequency about 300 kilohertz or so. And Alan could probably tell this is like a bigger version of that mini VNA, but Alan has got a lot of great videos on how to use a mini VNA.
But,
which
the
is,
nanos.
I've
got a couple of the nano VNAs, and I got a couple of those, and also the rig expert. The rig expert analyzers have got that same thing where you can scan and it'll color the bands for the ham bands as well.
Hey, Bill, we got a question in the chat room about how many balloons are up at any given time.
Do you know that, Bill?
Well, currently we've got
I think
we're 4 whisper balloons flying. Yes.
I think the question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I think the question is how many balloons in total. I mean, I tried to research this one time. I know the Weather Bureau launches about 1,000 a day from all locations, or that may be worldwide. About 1,000 a day worldwide. So there's a lot of balloons in the air.
I think he was just referring to ham balloons.
And he may have been, but people ask me, what about an airplane hitting this, or there's a lot of balloons up there. There's a whole lot up there, but people don't see them. My pilot friend Walter been flying for 35 years. He says he's never seen a balloon in the air flying in 35 years. He has seen a hot air balloon, but not a helium or a hydrogen balloon.
It's on my internet. Got a little flaky there a minute.
That's all right.
You'd ask comment balloons are flying.
Yeah.
If you go to tracker.habhub.org, you can show how many are flying. Mostly those are ham radio balloons.
Now, Bill, does that also include weather balloons or anything?
The one, if you just go tracker.habhub.org, it'll show the
ham.
Primarily the ham radio balloons. And right at the moment, there's about a dozen of them flying around the world.
Yeah.
We have 4 whisper balloons currently flying, although one of them launched from Argentina, LU1ESY, and I port that to LU1ESY-15. It stayed up 10 days, was doing great, and when it went across Australia, halfway around the world, it hit monsoon season in Queensland in the northeast portion of Australia. It iced up and spent a whole day bouncing up and down in altitude, never quite recovering, and came down that night. And the next morning, it popped off the ground again for about 30 minutes and then landed back about 5 miles south. And we know where it is, out in some cattle land, and it's been transmitting its position for the last day or two. We know precisely where it is within a 2 by 3 mile grid square, 6-digit grid square. So any of you all in Australia and the Queensland area want to go out and recover a balloon, it's sitting out there in cattle grazing area. So it ought to be relatively easy to find. But anyways, that one, they just launched another one from Argentina. Yours is fine. We have VK3 Zulu Whiskey India -3 flying from Australia, and that's a whisper balloon, and it's currently kind of stuck in a vortex just west of Peru, and actually getting some good signals into the United States on 20-meter whisper, and that's about 20 milliwatts. And we have Whiskey Bravo 6 Tango Oscar Uniform currently heading towards Turkey in the Mediterranean Sea on its second lap around the world, and that's also a whisper balloon on 20 meters.
Yeah. Well, it's been a lot of fun.
KCL is flying one of his payloads, and I think there's 2 of his up, and those are both on whisper mode. VE3 OCL and VE3 KCL.
Yeah. Bill, I'm gonna post the phone number up here. We're gonna open the phone lines tonight. We haven't done that in a long time, and of course, we want to continue the show to fill our spot for our shortwave station. So let's get the phone lines open. If anybody wants to say hi to Katie or Alan or Bill or me, we're just gonna open the phone lines up, and whatever your questions are or whatever you'd like to talk about, we'll talk about it. So let's get. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. It's been a while since I've done it.
While he's doing that, Bill, question in the chat room is, what's the best time of the day to try and hear the 23 balloon from the States? And I'm sure it depends, where it is in the world, but I guess they're asking like right now.
Early morning, just as the sun's coming up here in the United States, you'll get some good propagation to Europe and Africa, because he's right off the coast of Morocco near the Canary Islands at the moment, and he'll probably just be into Morocco tomorrow morning. So I would listen right at sunrise would probably be the best time. And if you have a beam antenna or any kind of directional antenna, point it towards northern Africa. It's going to really help pull in that signal.
All right, so we got our phone lines open. We have phone numbers in 65 countries. Come on, all you guys. Pakistan, Australia. Let's get somebody from Australia in here again tonight. So you can find the international number. If you go to our website, w5kub.com, if you go to w5kub.com and click on Contact Us, I think that's where Contact Us, look over on the left side and you'll see a link that says International Numbers, and you can use that number in your country, for instance in Australia or the UK or wherever. We have local numbers for you there. So we've got the phones opened up. I think we're working. Now we can take 1,000 simultaneous phone calls. So come on, guys. Let's call in.
I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. It's getting not as late here as it is for you guys on the East Coast, but I'm in the midst of training for work, so I need to get some rest for tomorrow. Yeah. So I'll see everybody next week. Don't forget, post some shack pictures on Facebook so we can do that next week. And William, I haven't forgotten you. I'll get you in there next week.
So next week. Look, next week.
All right.
Bye.
All right. We'll see y'all. See ya. Bye-bye. All right. Let's see if we'll just get anybody in here. So I'm real excited to see where we're going to be tomorrow, Bill. It's been very tough watching the balloon spin its wheels for 3 days in the same spot, man.
Hey, by the way, do you have a picture of your solar panel arrangement that's special this time?
Yeah, I do. It's not anything really too awful fancy. It's just a piece of 90-degree styrofoam, and we duplicated the panels on both sides. And it only takes one set of panels to power the tracker, but not knowing which side is going to be aimed at the sun, you never know which way this thing's going to be aimed. So we put a second set on there to pick up the sun if we've got a call there. Let's see what we got here. So stand by, caller. We'll get you here. So we got a second set of panels on there in case the thing is turned around backwards. And they have to be isolated from each other. I have found with these solar panels, the ones that are in the dark will take energy from the ones in the light. So you have to, we actually duplicated the circuits. Also, some people are flying trackers where they need two sets of panels to get the voltage, like their panels are in series. But I have found that if they're in series and one is down in the dark and one's in the sun, they're practically turned off. And the same thing about if you need two panels to get enough current. If one panel is not getting any light, you're not going to get enough current. So we completely duplicated the power system here, two sides, and we've got some supercapacitors underneath there to kind of fill in if this thing is swinging around or if the sun blinks or something. The supercapacitors can actually run us for, I've measured 120 seconds.
What value are the supercapacitors?
Yeah, we got two capacitors in series. They're 3 farad at 3 volt each. So that basically gives us 1.5 farad at 6 volts. And our voltage is, our voltage is, we got 6 panels there. 6 times, let's see. We got about 3.6 volts there, I guess. 3.6, 3.7 volts. I might could have got by with one 3 volt capacitor, but Bill shows me his where they blew up one time, so we didn't want to put a 3 volt across a 3.6 volt. I've done that before, and it didn't. On one of our flights, actually, I put one across the 3.3 volt line, and it did fine. But anyway, so that's our configuration right there. We just glue the tracker kind of underneath it. And Bill, I used some automotive adhesive, just put drops under those solar panel cells to stick them down. And there's 12 panels there, so that was 24 dots. And that 24 dots added about 5 grams of weight to the tracker. So we thought about sewing them in with thread, and we've done that before. We might do that again. And I was getting low on my... that what?
Very high bond tape from 3M.
Yeah.
It's called VHB tape. It's very thin, it's clear, and it's basically like double-sided. It's double-sided tape, but on steroids. And that I've used that for several applications, and
I may have to try that.
Down, it's not coming off.
Yeah, I may have to try that. And I bought another tube of adhesive. I was about out, and I bought some clear automotive adhesive. And when I put some clear adhesive on that styrofoam, it melted it just like you took a blowtorch to it. Yeah. I mean, it disappeared, man. So I had to kind of patch it up with my other heavy adhesive. But hey, it's flying, and we're happy with it. So that's what it looks like. Let's see, we got somebody on the phone. Let's see if we can bring in who we've got on the phone. Hello, who's out there?
69 Tango with me, Tango.
All right, let me turn you up a little bit. I'm having a little trouble hearing you. Who's on the phone?
W9 TIT.
Oh, hey, Rich, how you doing, man?
I'm not doing too bad. I got COVID, and I've had it for a week now, but I'm feeling pretty good now.
Man, I hate to hear that. COVID, huh? Gee.
No, I'm happy.
Well,
I'm happy I got it because that's a 2-week vacation. And I figure if I got to wear a mask all the time, I might as well get COVID. So I haven't had anybody knock on the door for 2 weeks. So
is that
I'm
right?
Kind of
well, are you managing the whatever you call it? I don't know if it's a disease or what. Are you managing the COVID okay? Any major problems?
A week ago, it felt like I got thrown down a flight of stairs, but
oh man,
I'm doing pretty good now.
Okay, well we
so I tried to get you on the radio today, but they took a bunch of trees down at my place. I only got 1/2 of a dipole antenna, so not working so good.
Okay,
I was thinking about putting up a cobweb or something later on.
Yeah, we built the cobweb here on the show. It seemed to work pretty good. I didn't really have any place I wanted to put it up. I don't have a tower or anything here, so I ended up giving it away one day. A ham was down here at a sale down the street, and I met him, and I said, hey man, you want a cobweb? So if you'd been here, I'd have gave you mine. Yeah.
I'd have to put out 1,000 watts though, because I can't run a gallon. I don't want to play.
Yeah. Hey, we got a question in the chat room. Andy wants to know, what's the total cost to launch a balloon, including everything, radio and all? Andy, it can vary. I would suggest, if this is your first balloons to launch, I would suggest you buying a tracker and already built. You're going to come out better that way. And for instance, get the Sky Tracker that Bill has, the WB8 ELK Sky Tracker, and I think, Bill, what's the price on that? Is it like 160, 170?
140.
140 something?
149 for the APRS version and 159 for the Whisper version.
Okay.
But that comes ready to fly with the antennas.
Ready to fly? Everything's in here. You even give them a balloon, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would recommend that. So do something like to get one of Bill's trackers, about $150. You're going to have to get some gas somewhere. We use hydrogen for all of ours. Hydrogen's cheaper, but we have a supply of hydrogen. But you can actually get the party helium. It's not as good as pure helium. For instance, hydrogen will take us a couple thousand or 3,000 feet higher than helium. And I would imagine pure helium will take it probably 1,000 feet higher than unpure helium. And Bill's holding up the party balloon stuff. That's kind of a mixture of air and helium.
It's about 80% helium. You'll fly about 2,000 or 3,000 feet lower than if it was pure helium.
Yeah.
And so, this is super lightweight, and they're about $30 for a tank. That's enough to inflate 3 of those Mylar balloons. But if ideally, I usually go to a mom and pop welding store.
Yeah.
And they'll sell me a tank that's just about this size, 40 cubic foot tank, and it's still lightweight. One person can carry it, and it's not all that expensive. And get a balloon filler regulator along with it.
You're talking about a tank of helium, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But you can also get a hydrogen tank. That same way too. And
I didn't know you could just. I guess most of these places would sell you a tank for sure. We already had tanks, and we just swap our tank.
They'll rent you a tank.
Yeah.
Or you can actually outright buy the tank.
Yeah. We have tanks, and we just swap them with the gas company when we get ready for something. So for $150 there with Bill's tracker, he'll send you a balloon. Now this is a small 3-foot balloon, but let me tell you, there's a 3-foot balloon right now that's on its, Bill, 7th trip around the world.
Well, actually, that was a clear plastic.
It's 2 of those, I think it's,
China.
So you can get in relatively cheap, buy a tracker like Bill. He'll already have it programmed for you. It'll be ready to fly. It'll come with a balloon. It's not going to be the balloon like we fly that's going to fly 6,000 feet higher, but still, it'll be a lot of fun. It's very possible it could get you around the world. The first balloon Bill flew for us was one of the little silver Mylar balloons, party balloon, in a tracker, and it made it all the way to Japan, and it crashed in a storm. But right now is the best time to fly because we're in the winter time and all the storms are below the equator, so you have much better chance. There's one of Bill's trackers right there that you can get, and if you want to fly something like we're flying, we're building our own tracker. It could cost you a lot to get set up to build a tracker. We build our tracker under a microscope, and it takes special soldering tools, and we fly an expensive balloon. We fly about $170 balloon. We fly it with hydrogen, and we build our own tracker. So you could easily, if you buy a tracker and you buy the balloon we fly, you could easily put $300 per launch. Well, you want to talk about that one, Bill?
Yeah, that's the GPS receiver. That little white chip's the GPS antenna. Some people use a little wire antenna for that, but this chip works pretty well. That's an Atmel processor, the same as used in a lot of Arduino boards, as Glenn can attest to. And then this is the transmitter section and power supply and the output filter. The SMA connector is only for testing. I don't fly that. I take that off. I I just tack that on when I'm testing it here on my workbench before I send them out. And then on the other side, I've got those same super caps that Tom was talking about. Those are 3 farad at 3 volts, and so you get 1.5 farad at 6 volts when they're put in series.
Charlie's asking, does it come with the solar panels?
Yes.
Yeah.
It comes just like you see here.
So I mean that's a good deal, and it's what's the total weight there, Bill?
12 grams.
12 grams.
This is a flexible solar panel.
Yep.
Those monocrystalline cells that Tom has been flying are more efficient, but they're very fragile. If I were to touch them like this, they'd crack right in half.
Yeah.
Whereas these are made by power film solar, and they're very flexible. I send these to a lot of schools, and the kids like to play with the tracker and hold it and touch it. And if I had those monocrystalline cells, they just break it right in half. But this is pretty rugged.
Here's a question. Here's a question. How cold does it get at balloon altitude? It's about a minus 40 degrees Celsius.
40 to minus 50. There is some solar heating of the circuits on the board. A lot of the chips are black, so they absorb a lot of heat. I have a temperature sensor on this, and the temperature varies between minus 10 and plus.
Yeah. All right, Bill, you got some people want to order from you, so tell them how to get in contact with you.
My call sign, WB8ELK@gmail.com.
All right. All right, and just to show you the difference, here's the one we're building. But, you know, by the time we get all our stuff put together, we weigh the same as Bill's, and his is much bigger. But look, this is uses basically some of the same parts. The little white thing is the GPS. This is a piece of blue painter's tape I've got on the GPS antenna. And as Bill mentioned, I don't know if you can see it. As Bill mentioned, use a piece of guitar for the GPS antenna right here. And this little tracker here weighs about 1.6 grams when it's completely built with the processor, the GPS, and the transmitter on it. But then you got to add the solar panels and the infrastructure to hold it, and some super caps and all that stuff. So, but anyway,
you were at what weight were you final for this last flight?
This last one is heavy. We were at 17.55 grams total weight. Okay. That's because we added a second set of solar panels and a styrofoam, so you could probably take 7 off of that, and we'd probably be around 10.5 or 11, typically what we could generally fly. But we went heavy this time. I was going to go much heavier. I was going to have 3 panels, Bill, but that was going to put me in at about 28 grams, and I decided not to fly that. So we took 1 set off, and I'm glad we did, because we're doing just as well with 2 sets of panels as I think we would have with 3.
Well, you're doing great, and I think the 2 panels combined with the super caps are really must be doing a slow spin, because if you were pointed endwise against the sun, I think it would work too well. So it must have enough movement that the super caps fill in the gap when the panels are end pointed.
And let's just compare that with this. I was going to fly this one, and I was going to fly this with it, and this was a 3-sided, and we were going to fly it vertically like this, vertically. But instead, we decided to go with just 2, and we flew it, let's see, where's I've lost it. There it is. We decided to go with 2, and it's in a horizontal type arrangement. In other words, that one you're seeing there is actually flying like this. So let's just say the sun's hitting this side, There's no sun hitting this side. So, but we have plenty of power here. If it swings around, of course, we're going to get the power from the other side, and this side's not going to get any. But Bill, I was just looking, I tried it outside. I did some testing. And if the sun is straight off from here, it's very possible. It looks like it's picking up some sun on both sides, and it may be adding. I don't know. But it's, since they're paralleled, even getting, I guess, a sufficient amount of sun this way. But I took a chance and I thought, hey, this is not going to always be pointing at the sun like that. It's probably going to be like this or like this. And we've got the super caps in here to smooth it out. So, hey, it's working great.
Yeah, I wanted to show you a couple more features on this Mini 1300 that I've been playing around with. In addition to doing a frequency sweep to look at your SWR, it's got a tune SWR, and it gives you a tone, so you can be trimming your antenna and not having to look at the display. And a low tone is a good match. I've got a 50 ohm load on it right now, and if I take it off, it's going to be about 1001 SWR, and it's a very high pitched tone. And in fact, it says 1001. But that's a real handy feature, and it shows a red bar when it's bad SWR and a green when it's a good SWR.
Yeah, the rig experts have something like that too. You can do an audible tune. Then it also even has a mode where it can actually transmit like on 2 meters. So you could have the thing located in one spot and listening on like an HT when you're tuning the antenna to see where you got it right. So
yeah, it's got an RF generator mode, and one really cool thing is it's got a whisper mode. So I've actually put this on the air and gotten reception reports all over the country on whisper. The only thing it doesn't have is a GPS to get your time just right, but it does have a nice feature that if you set the clock against an accurate time standard like WWV or one of the online time clocks, once you set the clock on this, you can hit continuous transmitter, and it says real-time clock send. So it'll send right at the appropriate time, and it'll just keep sending, or you can manually send it, or just, it's really cool. And I've gotten all kinds of reports. It's a great way of testing whisper, particularly if you're trying to set it up for the first time. And it actually puts out about 12 milliwatts. Nice. And I've put it on my antenna, and I got reports from all over the country. And it'll also do FT8, and it'll do FT4 and JT65.
That's cool. Hey, Bill, there's a question in the chat room. Have you ever recovered your radio? We've recovered one that went down. We actually launched it in some bad weather. We shouldn't have done it. It went about 8 miles. I did recover it probably about 4 or 5 days later. We launched one. It went all the way to, where'd it go, Bill? It wasn't Romania. It was
Poland.
It went to Poland. And here, guys, we launched one and went to Poland. And here's a Poland team right here, the Polish ham team that went out and got it. And it was up in a tree, about 80 feet up in a tree. I don't know how they got it down, but so we recovered that. But I will tell you this. Most of our flights go down either in the Sahara Desert, in the desert of China, or in the ocean. And when they go down like that, you don't get them back. So, and another thing, if you're wondering about making it around the world, my personal experience is 1 out of 10 will make it. So you got to just keep trying. And that's what we decided to do for the show, was to just keep trying until we make it. And of course, we did it a couple times. Our first one we launched, look at this. I mean, we're very serious about our balloon launches. And this was our very first balloon. This is the silver Mylar balloon that Bill launched for us, and it went down in a terrible storm off the coast of Japan. And we actually watched it go down that night. And it was a real disappointing thing to watch the altitude go down, and we saw it go down. And that basically is the balloon there that Bill launched, the silver Mylar that went all the way to Japan. And the balloon that these guys recovered, it was 2 of those silver Mylars taped together. So it was 2 of those. And let's see. You might ask, how do we not start, are there any problems in transmitting over countries? Yes, there's some countries that we can't fly over and talk and transmit. UK, Yemen, North Korea, or we'll start World War III. So we basically, and what Bill does, he codes in what we call geofencing, where it actually will not transmit when the GPS gets over those places right there. Talk about light. This is
the UK.
Yeah.
The UK has a special rule that you operate amateur radio from any airborne platform, be it a model plane, a hot air balloon, or a private plane, or a weather balloon. I'm not sure why this is, but they're just they've never changed that rule, and so the UK hams have to use license-free transmitters, and they have an active ballooning group, but they have to use the LoRa, I think I pronounced that right, LoRa, or UHF 10 milliwatt transmitters in the license-free band.
Here's a picture of the little tracker that I built, and this is similar to one of the first ones we launched. This actually has the solar cells on it right there, 3.9 grams total. That's less than a weight of a nickel. Let's see if I got anything else. Bill, this is a presentation I put together. If you want to talk about building it yourself, the parts are small. That little tracker there has 0402 parts. If you look closely, you'll see a part on the end of the tweezers. And if you want a better example of how big that part is, there's a sewing needle. And if you look at that sewing needle, you can see the part at the sharp point of a sewing needle. And you actually solder both sides of that capacitor in. And it's kind of difficult there at times. You can see we're starting to make some. And let's see. There's a difference.
You aren't going to be doing it with a Weller solder gun, let's tell you.
You're not. In fact, one of my problems was, Bill, getting a small enough soldering gun to touch that little bitty, that salt. Yeah. And let's see. I'll just trying to see if there's anything else here.
A lot of traditional average soldering irons that you can find that most hams have in their shacks, unless they do a lot of tiny surface mount parts, kind of like working on a wristwatch with a hammer by comparison.
Yeah.
The tip is so large on many irons that you couldn't possibly do these small surface mount chips unless you have the tiniest tips you can find.
So if you're going to use hydrogen, one of the most important things is this tool right here. I'm just kidding. We still have all of our fingers and our eyebrows. We've never had an issue with it before. And hey, there's some of my mentors right there. Bill, you made one of my mentors right there.
There you go.
And let's see.
What Tom is not telling you is that he has the ants when they're not flying. They do the assembly for him.
That's true. Or make any repairs. They make any repairs up there too. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Well, let's see if anybody else on the phone again. Let's see. Do we have somebody on the phone? No. We got music.
And Tom, what I wanted to also mention, I've probably got 5% of my flights back from people that made them in fields or in trees. One guy in Chattanooga, he walked outside and saw something reflecting in the moonlight in his tree. He thought it was a UFO and stayed up half the night worried that the aliens were going to attack him. And when he woke up the next day, he walked out and saw that was actually my balloon that was reflecting the moonlight. And he pulled it out of the tree and sent it back to me, and I was able to refly it again. We did 10 student balloon launches for the Smithsonian Institute from schools around the country, simultaneous launch, and we got one of those back. So a fellow found it in the woods in Arkansas. It was launched from Oklahoma and hit a storm. It was, I think it was a hurricane was coming up at the time, and it hit the edge of the hurricane and came down in Arkansas. And turns out the brother of the hunter was a ham radio operator, and he tracked down the my email and sent it to me, and he sent that to me. So,
well, and we don't, you know, Bill. Let me tell you, Bill's a brave guy. We do not put our email address on any of our flights because our luck is that the thing goes down over the Ukraine or somewhere on a Russian military base, and that's easy to do. I don't want them, you know. Let me tell you, nearly all of our flights go over China, and I'm not going to advertise who I am, you know, as we go over China. Let's do something here real quick. Let's do something here. Turn the music down. All right. Hey, if you're out there listening on WBCQ tonight, 7490. That's the wrong one. Let's see what it does. If you're listening out there on WBCQ 7490, shoot us an email and let us know where you are. You're listening to Amateur Radio Roundtable. This is the show about ham radio, and we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to tom@w5kub, tom@w5kub.com. And for you latecomers, if you will, hit the subscribe button. Please hit that subscribe button. We need you to. It makes a lot of difference now. Used to, we didn't do this before, but we need you now to hit that subscribe button. I'm just looking. Looks like we've had 1,191 people join the show tonight, which I think is a really good number. And we've still got 130 people concurrently watching the show right now. So we've got about 7 more minutes before we sign off again.
So Tom, this is my backup recovery system.
Let's look at it. I know, and you know what? It worked for us because we flew one of your trackers, the one we flew in the storm, and it went down 8 miles over. And the guy did contact you.
But I put I tape it with Kapton tape, which keeps it weatherproof. And this one sat out in the bushes for several months, and they found it and sent it to me. Unfortunately, the only thing that they found was my email address on a solar panel, and that was it.
Really?
Apparently, a lawnmower or a head trimmer chewed up the rest of the tracker. So they sent me the solar panel back.
Yeah. Question. What? Oh man. Yeah, we don't get most of ours back. What season's best for ham radio balloon launches? That would be in the winter months, like Bill. You want to tell them about the R?
End of April.
Tell them the R story.
Any month with an R in it. So
That's
really
right.
October, September starts getting good, but October through April. And you can certainly fly during the summer. You just are going to get stuck in loops. It's going to take upwards of a month to go around the world. And during the winter, you can go around the world in as little as 10 or 11 days.
Yeah.
This is really February is the peak time for fastest wind. Some of the ground speeds we've achieved with these little balloons are over 220 miles per hour.
Yep, I think we've seen that on maybe one or two of our at different times. But you know, the thing is, Bill, man, we went 250 miles an hour, and in the next 3 or 4 days, we're doing 16 miles an hour. So sometimes it all kind of averages out, you know.
I know.
Yeah.
But if you hit the wind just right and stay in that highest jet stream, you can really haul around the world pretty quick.
Yep. Well, we'll be interested to look at our flight tomorrow morning and see where it is. I hope we're over mid Algeria. If we're over mid-Algeria or close to that, we should be picking up that jet stream, I hope, and maybe we'll make up for some lost time. All right, I should say good night to everybody out there that's hung in there with us. We really appreciate it. Just looking through the chat room, see if there's anything else here. Don't see anything else
There's
going on.
one wondering if a conformal coating would help make the PC board weatherproof without adding too much weight, but I think it's going to add weight, don't you?
It's going to add weight, and we're really above the weather. If we're getting enough moisture to cause damage to the circuitry, the whole balloon is going to come down anyway. So
yeah, I did spray. I did spray this one. I did have a can of a UV protected clear covering, and I did hit this board with it. It was pretty minimal. If you had hit all your solar cells and everything else, I'm sure it would add some weight.
Or also block some of the some of the sunlight to the solar cells. So.
Yeah, and you know at that altitude, the UV is very strong up there. So I think these solar cells are probably putting out a little extra voltage up there.
They do, and they like cold temperatures. So the combination of increased solar radiation and the low temperatures, you'll get a couple 2/10 more voltage than you will on the ground.
Yeah.
You can actually see that during the ascent stage when cold air is flowing over the circuit boards as the balloon is ascending. Mm-hmm. The voltage, when it starts to drop from like 5 volts to 4.8 volts, that means it's leveled off, and now the sunlight's heating up the solar panels, and they're not cooled down as much, and so you get about 0.2 of a volt or so increase at cold temperatures.
Yep. Okay. So let's do this. We've got 2 minutes till sign off for the show. Everybody, just hey guys, just hang around. We'll be back in a minute. But let's see. Let's do this for sign off. Here we go. We can't do it. Can't do it. All right. All right. We'll just have to show Glenn. We'll just have to show Glenn.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question? So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
Gotta keep that echo out.
Amazing is the resemblance that guy does have.
There's the answer code.
I have to him. That was 80 pounds heavier.
You're the man. I've been looking for this for weeks.
And he's got cat.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Hey, everybody. Thank you out there for joining us tonight. This is Amateur Radio Roundtable, a ham radio show. Join us again next week. On shortwave, it's at 0200 UTC on Wednesdays. You can join our show also at, no, that's not, yeah, no, on shortwave it's not 0200. Let me take that back. On Tuesdays, I am so confused. Our show is on Tuesday night in the U.S., but that is 0200 Wednesday morning UTC. If you want to watch our show, it's at 0200 UTC on Wednesday. Just go to W5KUB on YouTube and you'll find us. 73 to everybody out there, good night, and we